Thinking about launching a podcast but overwhelmed by all the moving parts? At Turnkey Podcast Productions, we take the hassle out of podcasting so you can focus on the talk, not the tech. From concept to launch, guest booking to post-production, we handle everything. Need a strategy to grow your show and turn guests into clients? Yep, we do that too. DIY or done for you, we've got the solution that fits. Whether you're just getting started or ready to scale, Turnkey is your behind-the-scenes podcast team. Turnkey Podcast Productions. Your voice, your message, fully produced. Learn more at turnkeypodcast.com/contact. That's turnkeypodcast.com/contact.
Next on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
If you're servicing people that are over 45 in that 45 to 65 range, maybe Facebook ads might be where you want to be. Or if you've got a younger clientele, it may be TikTok ads, which are exponentially, both of those, cheaper than Google ads. However, those are pattern interrupts. So then you have to have a very clear direction. You're giving these, all of the ads verticals, wherever you're at, Google, Meta, TikTok, LinkedIn even, they're AI machines. So the more specific you get with the data that you're giving it and the more optimized you can get within it, the better you can target who you're talking to. Whether it's pattern interrupt on the Metas and the TikToks, or it's a direct search with Google, it's really important that you know who you're talking to and that you're getting in front of them where they're at.
You don't need to see their identification. These aren't the podcasters you're looking for. These are the nice guys on business. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by Turnkey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, nice guy community. Today's guest is K'Lee Terrazas. She is the founder of Legal Lead Sharks and Intake EQ, and she is here to help you stop losing leads and start scaling smart. With a background in high-stakes sales and a knack for building killer client acquisition systems, K'Lee is dominating legal marketing with guaranteed Google placement and AI voice agents that work 24/7. Now, if you're not in the legal community, I still want you to listen because you will hear some amazing resources. And I know that while she has a vertical market of legal, she works in all sectors. She recently brought on her husband on board with her company, and along with his company, they added payroll, HR, and payment solutions to the mix. And fun fact, she found Turnkey and the Nice Guys through ChatGPT, who she says she talks to more than most people. All right, let's get into the conversation with the Queen of Conversion. K'Lee, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Hey, Doug, I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. And yes, you did find us through ChatGPT, but I did my research all analog. I promise you that. So let's go back to the very beginning, the origin of this. Where did you find this white space that you knew that you had the opportunity to really fill with your magic? So share what your magic is, and then talk about the white space that you decided that you were going to fill.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in sales for the bulk of my career, even in university. I did B2B sales in the medical industry, and then I did financial sales, Series 6, 63, and investment license. So big part of the first part of my career was sales, whether it was B2B or B2C sales. In 2016, I launched a digital marketing agency, Roots Co., which is still the parent company of Legal Lead Sharks and Take EQ, and now recently my husband's Paylinks Global, payroll and HR. So I was doing so I know digital marketing for all businesses. So like you said, I'm kind of business agnostic. Several years ago, though, I picked up my first personal injury law firm client. And I just loved the space. I loved working with attorneys. I loved the high stakes, competitive, most expensive vertical. I don't know. I guess that just brought something out in me that I was like, man, I love this. So niche down, Legal Lead Sharks, we help with Google ads, LSA ads. And then we do, like you said, we guarantee to get you to the top of the Map Pack in the 1 through 3. That's business agnostic. We can do that for anybody. The game's the same for all. If you're in the legal space, you just know it's harder and more expensive. So that's kind of where I craft my niche out. Intake EQ was interesting. Off the back of running Google Ads for law firms, that's the first time I had run, $50, $100,000 a month in Google Ads. So really big spend. And I very quickly identified the biggest bottleneck in the industry, and other ads agency people would agree with me, which is intake.
Oh my gosh, yes,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. So I would get a lot of law firm owners saying these Google ads suck. And I'm like, I mean, I can see what they're Googling, and, I'm like, this is pretty much as good as you're going to get. So I started blind testing, if you will, or blind shopping their law firms, because of course they're going to rave about their intake. I hope
Right,
that they
right.
would. But often, like all business owners, we're wearing a ton of hats, and we're not always going through and checking and auditing our systems on a regular basis. So first law firm or first law firm, I'm sorry, that I called, it was on a Saturday. Did that on purpose. Nights and weekends, overflow calls, notoriously bad.
Hmm.
And the call was answered with after about the 14th ring, by the way, big no, with hello. And I was shocked. I pulled my phone away from my face and looked at the number and thought, maybe I dialed it wrong. And so I said, is this XYZ law firm? He's like, yeah, how can I help? And I was like, okay, well, test over. I can tell you exactly why your Google ads are not converting.
Well
Um,
done, well done. Oh my gosh, that sounds so great. You actually called him to the carpet, and I love that. Keep going.
yeah, so I did about 5 or 6 more of those, had them all recorded. And then instead of, pointing the blame back at him, I said, hey, I want you to take a listen to these calls real quick. And he immediately came back to me and said, "What do we need to do? The intake sucks." And I was like, "Okay, thank you. Let's fix it so we can start turning these clicks into signed cases for you guys." But my husband, funny enough, so that's where intake EQ came in. Started training call centers for the law firms. That was a total nightmare, because you're spending $2 to $5 a minute on someone that sounds like they hate their job, and it's essentially just like a human voicemail. And I was like, man, this is not working. I got their intake team really, really dialed in. But for all of the overflow calls, the nights and weekends calls, man, this is like a
Mm.
C minus at best. And it's
Hmm.
very expensive. So intake EQ are our AI agents. This is completely business agnostic. So if you're a service-based business, you're somebody that's busy all the time working with clients, and you're missing your phone calls, which Google said actually last year, they said 60% of calls that go to people's GBPs or Google business profiles go unanswered the first time.
Hmm.
So my slogan there is missed calls equals missed opportunities,
Right,
like plain and
right.
simple. So these AI agents sound like a real person. They've got the voice inflections. I tested them out with my mom and my in-laws and stuff, and they thought they were talking to real people. They're like, "Who is this?" So background typing noises, everything. But these
Nice.
these guys are just locked in. I mean, they are so efficient at getting the leads qualified, getting them booked on the calendar, or getting the call transferred. They can even take payments over the phone. I mean, they're amazing. So that's where intake EQ was birthed. It was out of my own need to say, I'm losing law firms because they think the problem is their ads account and it's their intake system. Um,
That's
so,
all right. So let me fill
oh
in
yeah.
here just a little bit, because I think that this is a critical component where most people that are entrepreneurs and being the jack of all trades within their organization know that their gift is the deliverable. Let's say that
Hmm.
I'll use my company as an example. We are excellent at podcast production. It does not mean we're excellent at marketing, at intake, at answering phone calls, at making sure that we are doing all of the things other than what our gifts are. And that sounds like that's where you really found where your sweet spot is coming in. Is that correct?
Yeah, and a big part of that was because I had a sales background. So sales and marketing, they used to be two really different things. But with the inclusion of digital marketing being really the main source of a lot of businesses now, with social media and other things like that, not just ads, just generally
Yeah.
speaking online,
Right.
that line has blurred. And so I think being a marketer, I have a real edge because I know what a sales cycle looks like. I know what a good sales call or an intake call looks like. So that was very helpful. But yeah, you're 100% right. If there's one part of, you can read Traction, E-Myth Revisited, all the books will tell you, there's going to be blind spots in your business, and there's going to be areas where you're the MVP and the other areas where you're like, well, I need to hire one, or I need to figure out who can do this for me because I'm not crushing it in that area.
Well, what I love about what you did was you took your core service, which was the Google ad side of
Hmm.
things, and you
Yep.
realized, hey, I can get as many eyeballs on this company as possible, but if I can't get them to convert, number one, conversion, you have to answer the phone. That is a small
Yes.
conversion all on its own. I think that's the biggest hang up with many people. It's like, damn, if it wouldn't be if my phone would just stop ringing, or if I could get my schedule clear, I'd be able to do the deliverables. And what I always share with somebody is nothing happens until you sell something. And so you
Right.
have to be well-rounded in all of those aspects. Have you ever come back and helped? It sounds like you do this with the intake folks, but have you ever come back and done sales training? Because that sounds like that's an area where you really have a strong beginning.
Yeah, so we put together an intake, format, call format, how everybody should be universally. If you have 5 intake people, they should all sound exactly like this. They should follow this format to the T. And I give that to all my law firms because that's, like that guy that answered the phone, hello. Man, the expectations when you
Right.
call a company are really high, and the competition's endless. So that was a horrible representation of that law firm. And again, the lawyer being aware of that was also in agreeing with me, like, yes, I had no idea. And I don't have time to
Right.
listen to
Right.
this because
Right.
I'm being a lawyer and scaling my firm.
Right, right. They know their gift really well. All the stuff that's outside their gift, they kind of put in the lesser priority category. I want to talk
Yeah.
for a moment just about the process, because I know that when you're dealing with a law firm, you might be dealing with, in some cases, not all, but in some cases, a much deeper budget when it comes to ad spend, which is usually the area where you're really ramping up what that intake flow is going to create for this business. Talk to the entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, maybe the early stagers in the game. Is this something that they have to look to spend $5,000, $10,000 a month on ad spend to get their phone to just start ringing, or what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Every vertical is different, even in legal. What a personal injury lawyer is going to have to spend is based on location. So a personal injury lawyer in Oklahoma City, where I'm at, wouldn't have to spend what a personal injury lawyer in the heart of Dallas Fort Worth is going to spend.
Hmm. Hmm.
So even in the same vertical, the budget's going to be different. A family lawyer is going to be able to spend exponentially less than a personal injury lawyer would spend.
Absolutely.
Criminal lawyer, et cetera. So any business vertical, it's specific to your business. So if you're looking at Google Ads for your business and you're a plumber or HVAC or electrician, highly competitive. So what I would say to you, and that's one thing that we on the discovery calls that we go over with our clients. What's your marketing budget? What are you currently spending on? I'll give you an example because we do work with all businesses. Legal Lead Sharks is just the vertical I kind of niche down on, but
Hmm.
my husband working in payroll and HR for years, I get people all the time that are like, they have the budget to spend for Google Ads. They want somebody who's like a shark, right? Somebody that's going to go in and nail their account. But I just talked to an HVAC, plumbing, and electrical company last week, actually, and we were talking to them about intake EQ. And I said, well, let's talk about your marketing. Like, where is your leads coming from? And they're nailing it on their GBP. So they're ranking in the top of the Map Pack. Check for them. If you're not, we can help. We can help there
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a much less expensive game to play than Google Ads. So we can start you somewhere and get you at the top of Google. LSA ads, local service business ads, those are much less expensive than Google Ads. That's where I would start, someone looking in those areas first. But in this case, they were spending 15K a month
Hmm.
on radio and commercials and 5K a month on their Google Ads. And I said, I'm going to really challenge you here because if I have a plumbing emergency or an HVAC emergency, I'm not going to see you on a commercial, or I'm not going to be, it's like divine timing. I'm in my car and my
Right.
AC just went out. And now I need to call you.
Right.
That's what in marketing we call pattern interrupt. So it's good for branding. Yeah, if you've got the budget, absolutely. Be everywhere, be on billboards, do all the things. But direct search is where people are finding you. So if I have a plumbing emergency, they're going to Google.
Got it. Talk to the folks that are in our community that own businesses that aren't
Hmm.
necessarily home services, plumbers, attorney, and I'm not putting plumbers in the same category as attorneys or attorneys
Yeah.
in the same category of estate planners, but oftentimes those are the things that people are going to Google and they're saying, "Hey, I need somebody that's local in my area that does personal injury."
Hmm.
Again, talk to me. Let's say I'm the typical. I guess I'm not the typical person. Nobody wants to be like me. But let's talk to our community for a second. If
Yeah.
my business is a business like podcast production, oftentimes I don't find that people are really, I don't really know when we've done marketing in the past, the Google ad spend thing has never really worked for us. Talk to those in our community that may have the same feeling that I do about ad spend is not really the best avenue for me to approach getting
Yeah,
leads.
yeah, no, that's a great question, a great point. So if you're not a service-based business and you're not saying you would kind of fall into the e-commerce, like you do want people to find you and it can be nationwide or even
Right.
potentially outside of the nation. So then there's a couple things with Google Ads. What we would have to research first is, are people searching for that? You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And then second, with your marketing verticals, where are your people? Like lawyers, for example, they're on LinkedIn, they're on podcast, but that's not where plumbers are going to be. That's not where podcasts, you know what I'm saying? There's every niche has a place where their people are.
Right.
And I
Right.
think if you go to the heart of marketing, like marketing 101 in the very beginning is your client avatar.
Right.
Who is your perfect person? And then if you're Doug, my perfect person, where do you hang out? Are you reading books? Are you on podcasts? Like, I need to go where you are. So, yeah, Google might not be the best avenue for you. It may be Facebook ads, right? If you're servicing people that are over 45 in that 45 to 65 range, maybe Facebook ads might be where you want to be. Or if you've got a younger clientele, it may be TikTok ads, which are exponentially, both of those cheaper than Google ads.
Now,
However,
yeah.
those are pattern interrupts. So then you have to have a very clear direction you're giving these all of the ads, all of the ads verticals, wherever you're at, Google, Meta, TikTok,
Hmm.
LinkedIn, even, they're AI machines. So the more specific you get with the data that you're giving it and the more optimized you can get within it, the better you can target who you're talking to. Whether it's pattern interrupt on the metas and the TikToks, or it's a direct search with Google, it's really important that you know who you're talking to and that you're getting in front of them where they're at.
When you're first working with a prospective client, when they're asking these kinds of questions, or sometimes they don't even know the questions to ask, is this an area that you explore with them? Like, I don't know where your market is. If you have somebody that is a florist, it's going to be different than if you have somebody that is, let's say, owns a manufacturing organization, and somebody's not necessarily going to Google to search for them. Do you help them through the beginning stage to decide where the conversion is going to take place?
Yeah, so we can do some marketing consulting. And then also, if it's not something that I'm an expert in, I know a lot of people who are. So, for example, e-commerce on Google, that's a whole different game. I specialize really in service-based businesses on Google. But if you're an e-com, then I know somebody to connect you with who's an
Right.
e-com specialist. So I'm
Sure.
going to say, basically, the consulting would be, here's kind of an outline. Here's some things. Are you doing all these things? Do you know your numbers? Do you know your client avatar? Okay, great. Let me connect you with so and so because I want to get you to the person who's the expert in your field, in your niche, and that can help you succeed. So I guess yes, in consulting, but I'm not always the best fit, and I'm okay with that too.
No, I got it. I got it. You sound very much like me in the later stages of me growing my business. Everyone with a checkbook is not necessarily a client. You need
Right,
to,
right. I
you need,
interviewed an attorney recently, and it was a bombshell like moment. And I'm like, man, I'm going to take this clip and like reuse it a million times. He said his mom was a business owner, and he said at 5 years old, she taught him a lesson that he never forgot. And he became a lawyer to protect other people like his mom because she was a small business owner, single mom, and she was dealing with high value clients, so lawyers, attorneys,
hmm
people of affluent state,
hmm
and they would bully her, and he hated seeing that. But she told him, Jimmy, not all money's good money, and so it is true. Like you want to serve who you serve because you're an expert, and then I love to help people connect with the experts where I'm not.
Kaylee, one of the things that I've discovered, not through my own discovery, but just through living life over these last year or so, is the prevalence of AI and technology is like hugely bombarding the world of search.
Mm-hmm.
SEO has completely been changed, changed on a dime, 180 degrees the other way. Ad
Yep.
spend, I'm sure, or ad marketing has probably done a lot of the same thing. Search results have probably done the same thing. Give me your perspective on whether AI and technology in what you do, not the processing of what you do, but in what you do and helping a client has either helped you, hurt you. Tell me about how AI has affected your business.
Yeah, so it with intake EQ, it skyrocketed my business, which is great. I think we're in one of those pivotal moments. Like I heard a marketer that I follow, Daniel Priestley, author, amazing guy. He said this is one of those moments where it was like if you looked back at where in history, the invention of cars or the electricity. Like
Hmm.
nobody knew what the shift was going to be because it was so different that they're like, it's like, how's electricity going to change your life? I don't know. I've never even flipped on a light switch. Like I can't conceive what it's going to do.
Right.
In ads, it's not affected us at all yet. In SEO, 100%. Even Google, we have a guy that is a partner of ours, a referral partner, because we don't do SEO. We're experts at what we do. We connect you with who is an expert at what they do. He went to Google Search 2025 conference in NYC recently, and basically the undertone was, we have no idea what's going on. We have no idea. And they're trying to fight for their share back because these LLMs are taking it. They're coming in hot and fast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so a shift is coming. I'm going to be the Netflix, not the Blockbuster. I've hopped on the board. I'm figuring out how to use it. But I don't know. I don't know what the future of it's going to look like.
I mean, for our business, I remember there's a couple things that really helped our business. One, the recognition, awareness that podcasting was actually a great marketing and business development tool, and that happened all during COVID. And then the second thing, which many production houses were fearing doom and gloom with the creation of AI. Oh my gosh, nobody is ever going to use this anymore because they're just going to be able to do all their editing and show notes and everything else through AI. And it actually has helped our business because now it makes our job even faster. It makes us
Hmm.
more productive. We can spend more time on doing what I think is even more important than the actual work itself, which is servicing our clients with a friendly disposition, a great personality, and a can-do attitude. Of it's almost like there's no question that they could ask us that we couldn't do because technology is right there to help us through this process. Can you give me 30 clips, video clips of this episode? Well, it used to be, yeah, but it's going to take 30 hours for us to do that. And now it's, sure, let me just plug that into Riverside and it'll take 2 minutes to do. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that I see that I love. And I'm assuming you're staying very fluid with what you do because technology has enabled you to be able to be that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I mean, like you said in the podcast intro, like my sons are teenagers and they're like, "Mom, you have real friends now still, right?" Like you don't just talk to chat only now because I mean, I use the voice chat. I'm just sitting out in the hammock like ideating and I mean, I forget she's not a real person sometimes. But I love it and I'm utilizing it to help my clients in their marketing strategies to be smarter too. So there's a human touch that it will never be able to replace. And this is a pivotal moment for businesses. You will be Blockbuster or Netflix. And so I would rather be Netflix and pivot fast and figure out how to make this work for us and with us and not be Blockbuster and hiding covering our eyes and hoping for the
Hoping for the
best.
best. That's hoping for the best. Do you prefer working in the B2B environment, B2C? Does it not matter to you? Tell us about who your ideal client is.
Yes, it really is either again service based. So lawyers, anybody that's trying to show up and search locally is kind of where our bread and butter is. So a lot of our clients are B2C, but we're B2B with them. So B2B is our niche, but yeah, service-based businesses, I would say, are the ones we can help the most.
And then where do you think in the lifespan of an organization do you feel like you are best presenting your services? Maybe too early on might cost them too much money, not just for your services, but for ad spend, maybe too late in the game. I don't know if there's ever a too late because you can always recover from anything, but where in the life cycle of a business would you like to enter?
We help. I always say it like this, like law firm owners specifically, and this is all businesses, I would say. We go from that solo practitioner to anybody in the messy middle. They're still trying to process payroll at midnight on a Saturday, when they've got a law firm that's doing over $1 million a year and they've got 15 people, and that's a head slap moment. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Right.
That's where we come in and help outsource people that have leads coming in and they're not able to take those leads and convert them. That's a huge value add for us because there's so many business owners. I mean, 60% of GBP calls went unanswered. The first thing they're doing, friends, they're not leaving you a voicemail. They're hanging up and calling the next person on the list.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I totally get that for sure. You want to make sure that you're there not only to answer the phone, but answer the phone professionally, not after
Yes.
14 not after 14 rings. I'm assuming that was probably the attorney that answered the phone after 14 rings that said hello and you were catching him at home on a weekend after he cut his
No,
grass or
it was
something.
his intake guy, and he was at his kid's birthday party, and he was really annoyed, and I felt it, But I was like, "Hey, you're paying $100 to $500 a click, and they're calling you. Not only is that a potentially $500 call, but if I was just in a car accident, commercial motor vehicle, that's $1 million case.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you just can't have those inefficiencies in your business. You've got to have the consistency. And that's what I love about AI is these agents, I can train them to where they sound like the owner of the company. I mean, they're that good and they're consistent all the time. They're not at a kid's birthday party. They're not annoyed because this is the 15th call they've taken and they're like, I'm 2 seconds from jumping out the window because I hate my job. So that's where AI is going to really help people is to be able to be way more efficient and way more consistent. Because if you're a service provider or if you're a business provider and you're doing great work for someone, your lifeblood is your leads. And if your
Absolutely.
business isn't coming in, then you're in a nonstop cat and mouse game trying to constantly get new clients while still doing your deliverables. And, it's a lot.
It sounds like you're in a perfect position to at some point take the next step. If you haven't already thought of this, I'm sure you have. If you're the one that sits on the back swing and just ideates all the time, you're probably like me, very big picture thinker. Of taking all of the FAQs that an organization has, running that through your AI model, and using it with a project management software to answer all the questions, so your team doesn't have to in the beginning.
Yep. So our AI has a knowledge base that we feed it everything about if the law firm does personal injury, criminal, family, they have an attorney for everybody. The AI already knows all of that. They know how long they've been in business. We had one guy he's a roofer and solar guy. He was testing it. He said, "What's your favorite part about working here?" She spit out the mission statement. "We love helping clients and this and that." And he's like, "What color's your hair?" Just to see what she would say. And she's like, "The color of the sun, because here at Okie Solar." I mean, it was hilarious. And he's like, I want to meet her. Like, Hope is amazing,
Right. That's great. That's great. I love to hear great AI stories like that. And it sounds like you are putting AI to the test, and it really has positively affected you and your business. So what's the next step right now? What questions am I not asking you that I should be asking you that you want to share with our community?
Oh man, I'm an open book. So just anything that you guys have, client acquisitions, our bread and butter, getting you to the top of Google is our mission. And then, I think the problem, Doug, is most people don't have systems in place.
Right.
So when I call somebody, I'm like, okay, you're running, let's say 10K a month in ads. What are these basic numbers? And they're like,
yeah, just exposure, brand awareness. And that's really not, getting more leads is not always a good goal. More leads is great, but you got to put some sort of specifics behind those analytics for sure.
Yeah, strategy. So that's where I think we help people is we know strategy, we know marketing and sales. And again, if you're an amazing podcast, you own a podcast business and you're amazing at that, I can help you with the rest. And I think that's what smart business owners are doing. COVID kind of switched the way things are operating. You can have a fractional CFO, you can have a fractional CMO, you can have a fractional COO, and you don't have these huge overhead operating expenses, but you still have access to the people that are experts in their field to come in and help you fill. It's like the hole in the bucket. If you're firing a water hose, as a fire hose through a water bucket, but you've got all these holes in the bottom, you're just not running it. You're working harder, not smarter. And that's what we come in and try to help businesses do, is just be more efficient, have systems in place to scale.
Excellent. Well, you have a bunch of different websites where people can reach out to you, but what's the best way for them to reach you today if they're interested in getting more information about what you do and how you do it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can email me directly, K'Lee, Klee, at legalleadsharks.com, or reach out to me on any of my socials, on YouTube, LinkedIn, all the places, or our website. Fill out a form and we'll call you back. So
I bet you'll answer the phone, and I bet you'll
yep.
you'll be
and
right
if I
there.
don't, my assistant Sarah, my AI assistant, never lets me miss a call. So I practice what I preach there.
That's awesome. Well, K'Lee, I appreciate you being on the show. Thanks for sharing your expertise and your content with our community today. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Doug.
Hey, Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to K'Lee. All of her information, including access to her website, will be right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Seriously, it'll only hurt for a minute. And don't worry, I'll be fine.